Can I also share my screen? Is that possible?
Yes, I made you a co-host. So.
Oh, thank you. Well, look, it's thank you so much. And the profound words of Rev Elliot are just very moving and very deep. And I just want to say that it's such a comfort. This day, we need to comfort each other. We need to mourn together. We need to show resilience together, of course, with our brothers and sisters in Israel and across the globe. And we just need to be there for each other. So it's just so meaningful that my Jewish learning is bringing us 70 faces, and my Jewish learning is bringing us all together today, so many of us. And so it's a great comfort. The Mishnah that I wanted to look at today, I can't look at the whole Mishnah, it's very long, but I wanted to look at the last Mishnah in Tractate Ta'anit, which is a tractate about fasting and fasting for sad times, fasting if it doesn't rain. I mean, one of the miracles of Israel, modern day Israel, is that with desalination of water, they've really made droughts a little bit a thing of the past. I mean, we still need the Kinneret full, and we're still supplying a lot of water to Jordan, but and we need to fill up the Dead Sea, please. But the curse that the Torah uses so much about the rain will stop is a little bit less poignant today because of the modern state of Israel's technology. And on this day of sadness and such hatred against the Jewish people by Hamas, by so many, and then joined by all their allies, of course. Um, it's heartwarming to know that Israel and Jordan have a deal where Israel supplies Jordan with with water, desalinated water, and Jordan allows the UAE to build solar farms to provide the energy for that desalination process. So, from Tractate Tanit, which goes into great detail about the fast that you need to do when it doesn't rain, um, and then fast on sad days, I want to look at the last Mishnah, which talks about some of the sad days, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But then it talks about the happiest days of the year. And I think, as typical in Judaism, there's always an edge. So this is not Purim. This is a sad day, October 7th, but it's a day of resilience. And I think that we'll see some of the happiest things are going from a devastating place to a much happier place. And that's the hope that I think we all have, that going from the devastation that we'll never forget on October 7th and the horrific way 1,400 people were killed and tortured and raped. And somehow we'll go to a better place, and we'll have hope, we'll have strength, and the state of Israel has found that. So I'm gonna share my let's see. I'm trying to see. Oh, here we go. Share. There we go. Sorry. Um, I want to share my screen.
If you're
Let's.
able, Rabbi, if you have a link to also share it in the chat, but if not, we
Oh,
can
I
get it to people
it's
later. That's fine.
Safaria Tandi 26B. So I can put that. Can you put that in the chat? Just
Yeah, I'll get it.
6B. So we'll start out. We're not in the month of Av, we're in the month of Tishrei, and Tishrei is supposed to be such a happy month, even though we have Yom Kippur, and we'll talk about that. Tishrei should be in the second half of Tishrei, there's no sad prayer, there's no Tachanun, and it should be a great, but Av, the month, 2 months before this, is the sad month. So the middle of this Mishnah, it's a very long Mishnah, but the middle of the Mishnah starts about the month of Av, Mima'atin b'simcha, we're less happy. The week of Tisha B'Av, you don't even cut your hair or you don't even wash your clothes. Um, but for Shabbat, you're allowed to. And again, that gives us a little bit of perspective. There's always a time for relief from mourning. There's got to be a time. Sometimes it's Shabbat. Sometimes it's every day. There's a prayer that we say, Mizmor LeTodah, even on the saddest days, on the 9th of Av, and even on actually not on the 7th of October last year because it was a holiday. But every day on the saddest days, there's this Thanksgiving prayer that we say. And so the days before Shabbat, you can, even on the saddest week of the year, on the 9th of Av, and we can talk about that. But I don't want to focus on that. But you're allowed to wash your clothes, and on Tisha B'Av, the Eve, you're not even allowed to eat two types of foods, and you shouldn't eat meat and wine, and we extend that. And Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says, just, don't have to be that radical, just a little bit less. Rabbi Yehuda says you have to overturn the bed like in mourning, so you don't have intimate relations. Rabbis say you don't have to be that radical. But then, boom, boom, the Mishnah totally goes from the saddest day of the year and the preparation for the saddest day of the year to Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel. And we just had Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel. If you notice above, he said, just a little bit less on the sadness, just decrease what you normally eat. So Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, and this is living at the time of the destruction of the temple, different Shimons ben Gamliels, but he's around the time of the destruction of the temple and the oppression of the Romans of the very small Judean state 2,000 years ago. He's a little bit more positive and not so much into the total mourning. And so he switches from the subject. Now, again, this is put together by Rabbi Judah, the prince in the 2nd century of the Common Era. So it's not necessarily that Rabbi Shimon said these at the same time, but the way it's placed is to get us to think about that. And really, I think to get us to think about, the one message that I tell anyone who will listen is that we just, as Jewish people, we cry and then we laugh and we have comfort, and it's all mixed together, and we just gotta keep those going, and we can't just cry. And so Rabban Shimon Gamliel said, hey, the best days of the year were the 15th of Av and Yom Kippur. So this is coming up. And it's a whole discussion of October 7th is the solar anniversary, if you want to call it anniversary, whatever day, commemorating year date. The Jewish calendar year date, especially since it's a leap year, is in 3 weeks, is when Simchat Torah or the Shmini Atzeret, where that's when it happened in the Hebrew calendar. So it was a whole discussion about what's the official date, and actually Israel is going to make the official date after Simchat Torah. So it was not to ruin the joy that we have with Torah. The holiday of Simchat Torah is when we celebrate the completion of reading the Torah each year, and so we don't want to diminish that. So, but October 7th, I'm glad it's coming before Yom Kippur, because it maybe we'll do some of the mourning, and then we can the brilliance and the light of Yom Kippur can shine, because Yom Kippur is supposed to be the best days. The translation says as joyous, the most joyous day of the year, like the 15th of Av. And on these days, the daughters of Jerusalem would go out and borrow clothes. They didn't want to show who was rich and who was poor. They would borrow the clothes, and they would go. We'll see in a second what they would do. And Um, in the middle of this buildup, I mean, in fact, let's just go down a little bit. What would they do? They would go out and they would dance in the vineyards, and they would solicit the men and say, "Look, oh man, young man." I think there's like a YMCA song, "Young Man." They would say, "Young man, look and see who you're choosing, and choose me, and don't look at the beauty, look at mishpacha, look at the family." And it was a wonderful day. This is Yom Kippur. This is the day of where we weep and we cry and for our sins, and we beg God for forgiveness. We are supposed to beg each other for forgiveness, where we mention things like the 10 martyrs and who died in the Roman period because of their love for Torah. They were persecuted. And in fact, this year, we'll cry about all those who died on October 7th and subsequent to that. And we'll feel terrible that this war has cost innocent Palestinian lives, this war against Hamas and this war against Hezbollah. It's so sad for any innocent life to be lost. So it's Yom Kippur is a day of big time crying, and we'll say Yizkor. And I was looking through my notes from past Yom Kippurs, and I saw a beautiful version commemorating the Tree of Life massacre just a few years ago. And it's wow, isn't that sad that that is like so overwhelmed by 10/7? But on that day, it's the happiest day of the year also, and they go and they dance, and that's Judaism, and that's what we need to do. I think our tradition tells us this, you got to do this. You got to be able to do both. It's really not, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a professional counselor, and you can't just tell people be happy. Um, but we can have that kind of vision that there will be happiness, there will be light, and there's so much darkness that's never going to go away. But there will be happiness, there will be joy. And I just want to go back for 1 second to a little part of the Mishnah that I find so, ironic, sort of. I don't know, I don't want to say funny, but in the middle of this beautiful vision, a big sermon that, Yom Kippur, which is such a day of tears, is also the happiest day of the year. And maybe it's split between morning and afternoon. Suddenly, the Mishnah, again, edited by Rabbi Yossi the Prince, Yehuda the Prince, throws in Kol Kalim Tunin Tvila. All garments require immersion if they were ritually impure. Um, this is Judaism. This is what I think drove the early reform movement crazy. Like in the middle of you're talking about lofty things, how can you cry and how can you laugh? And what does that do to your mental state? And how can our people experience 10/7 and then have Simchat Torah, have this dancing with the Torah this year, or have any kind of festivity, even have Rosh Hashanah that we just had? In the middle of that, you throw in that, well, clothes are a vessel and they need to be made ritually pure, all of them. And so again, the early reform movement said, like, oh my God, let's get rid of the cult, all this, halachic kind of little mishigas, like, get rid of it. And yet it's interesting, and I'm Orthodox, so I'm looking from the outside, but have a lot of Reform rabbi friends. And the Reform movement has come to say, well, mitzvah is important. Now, by the way, Reform, Orthodox, Conservative, Reconstructionist, Renewal, Humanist, no one does this worrying about impure clothes. No one that I know. I don't think Karaites do. No one does. But early on, when this was put together 2000 years ago, they were a little bit strict about that, and they wanted to be pure in case the temple was rebuilt, and they kept these laws. So it's not like Orthodox do this, Reform, no one does this, but it's there to show that to some extent, just like I mentioned before, that we have this Mizmor LeTodah, we have this Psalm of Thanksgiving that you say in a house of mourning, that we say on the 9th of Av, that we say at our saddest moments. Rachel Goldberg Poland at the funeral for Hirsch of blessed memory. I mean, she started on such a devastating point saying, gratitude to God for the 23 years she had with Hirsch. It's incredible that we can show this gratitude in the midst of devastating sadness, or that she could. But that's the idea here also, that in the midst of all these emotions of sadness and then trying to get to joy and trying to say there's hope and comfort, bing, there's staying Jewish, whatever that is for you. For no one now, it's not, it's purifying clothing that we get. But whatever being Jewish is for you, whatever that is for you, in some of the Gaza envelope, there were celebrations of 70 years on Simchat Torah. It wasn't anything related to dancing with a Torah. It was related to them being there for 70 years since the founding of 1953. State was founded in 48, but these villages were founded, kibbutzim, in 53. So that was a celebration. Whatever being Jewish is for you, whether it's worrying about detailed halachot, detailed laws of kosher, of purity, of anything like that, or whether it's just your identity as a Jew, or is it your identity as a lover of Israel, whatever it is, keep that up. That is critical. That's got to be in the mix. That's got to keep us going. And I take such pride in people that will wear a Jewish star. Some people wear a kippah. Some people will wear the chain. Some people will wear the yellow pin. Whatever it is that keeps you Jewish, that you feel your Judaism. That is what we need to do. So in the middle of all this, so the beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I'm going to skip to 30b. And I want to see, because the other day that is so joyous, is the 15th of Av. What is going on with the 15th of Av? And we're sorry, we're going through Sefaria. Thank you so much to Sefaria and to the William Davidson Gemara. Sorry, there's a lot of discussion of this Mishnah, but the pertinent parts about the 15th of Av and Yom Kippur are on 30b, and we're almost there. I don't want to miss it. Okay. Yeah. Okay, here we go. So again, here we got our Mishnah again, right? The Rabbi Shimon Gamliel says the happiest days. Now, here is something I think is it's funny and it's sad. That's what Judaism is. I mean, even the Holocaust, there was dark, black humor. Bishlama Yom Kippurim, the Gemara says about this Mishnah. I totally get, granted, Yom Kippur. So, like, Yom Kippur, of course, is a happiest day of the year. Now, oh, really? People are crying on Yom Kippur. There's Yizkor on Yom Kippur, where we remember those who departed. There is, again, the talking about the 10 martyrs and those who died for living in Israel, or being Zionists, or fighting the Romans, or learning Torah. Oh my goodness. It's and we're being judged by God. Oh, it's Kol Nidre. What do you mean? Granted, Yom Kippur is a day of joy, but yep, that's sort of it's putting making an important statement. that that is totally understandable, that it should be such a great day of joy because we're being forgiven. Yes, there's so much joy in it. And also that second tablets were given, but the second tablets were given after all the great sins that of the golden calf. So okay, I get it. I get it. The Gemara wants to tell us that. I get the point. I think I made the point that joy and sadness, they go together perfectly. They're beautiful. And I went to a ceremony at my kid Gideon, my son's day school, Farber Hebrew Day School, in Detroit, and just seeing kids even saying the saddest prayers, the memorial prayers, the Yizkor, just hearing them gives you comfort. Just kids that are loving Torah, that are loving being Jewish. So there's that mixture of sadness and joy. But what about the 15th of Av, the 15th of the month of Av? So um I actually want to look at, because I see we have 8 minutes, so I want to look at, so there are a whole bunch of explanations, but this is really I think the 15th of Av takes place on the background of devastating sadness. One of the reasons Rav Yosef says in the name of Rav Nachman, this was the day when the tribe Benjamin was about to marry Jewish people. So if you see in the notes, thank you, in the Davidson edition from Steinsaltz, after the tragic incident at Gibeah. So this was like the lowest point of, I think, the lowest point of the Jewish people. Uh, and it really reminds us of the horrors of October 7th, where a man and his concubine they have to spend the night, and they head towards a Jewish town of Gibeah. They don't want to go to the non-Jewish Gentile town. They want to say, we want to go to the Jewish town. They settle in the Jewish town, and the Jewish townsfolk are evil. What can I say? They're evil. And the man, the concubine's husband, is a strange person also, one of the lowest people also. He throws out they want to rape them all, and he throws out his concubine, and they rape her and they ravish her, and they might have killed her. She's there. They leave her off, and she either dies, or this guy is even worse. It could get worse. But they rape her all night, and it's a disgusting thing. And it's just the lowest point. So everyone gets very upset, all the other tribes, and they say, Benjamin, give us these people. Benjamin, I guess, said states' rights or something, tribal rights. We will deal with them. We're not giving them over to you. What happens is that they wipe out almost the entire tribe of Benjamin. And sadly, they wipe out all the women of Benjamin. And there are only like 500 men left of Benjamin. And they make an oath that none of their women they're not going to allow any of their women to marry Benjaminites. It's the end of the book of Judges. It's really bad. It's really, horrible. The 15th of Av is the day when they figure out a leniency to get out of the oath that they're not going to let their women marry any Benjaminites. So it's the day that the Benjaminites are able to get married and reproduce and rebuild the tribe. And ultimately, King Saul comes from Benjamin. Mordechai comes from Benjamin. Great Jonathan comes from Benjamin. So, wow. This is the happiest day of the year. Now, first of all, we understand why Yom Kippur, okay, we understand it's sad, but it's happy. Okay, Bishlama, that's okay. But the 15th of Av, on this devastation, this it reminds us of the lowest point of the Jewish people, and much lower than the sin of the spies in the wilderness or the sin of the golden calf or whatever. Oh my goodness. So I think this is it tells us that we can rebuild, that we can rebuild. We can recover from the most horrible things. And again, I'm not saying it as counseling or as psychology. It's really complicated, but the tradition seems to feel that, we can go from the lowest moments like October 7th and the horrors, these are horrors that we didn't even see. We didn't see even the Nazis doing. In fact, maybe we saw some of the Nazis' allies in Ukraine or Lithuania doing, but but we didn't see these things. And yet just horrors and the joy that it was done with. So, but our tradition says we can come back, and we have the 15th of Av, which is again one of the happiest days of the year. I just want to show one more reason for this. That's really okay. You're ready for something even more devastating. Um, Rav Matna says that the 15th of Av is the day that the Haruge Beitar, those slain by the Romans in Beitar, were allowed to be buried. So Beitar was the last stronghold of the Bar Kokhba rebellion in the year 130, right? In the year 70 CE, the temple was destroyed, everything. But then they regrouped, and Rabbi Akiva, one of the greatest rabbis, maybe the greatest rabbi at the time, was supportive of this revolution, this rebellion. And they fought the Romans, and ultimately they failed. And it was maybe Bar Kokhba was not the Messiah that Rabbi Akiva thought he would be, and he had issues, and he had sinned, and they all fell apart. And the last stronghold was Beitar, and there was a slaughter there, and the Talmud says that there were the horses were swimming in the blood of Beitar. And what happened on the 15th of Av was not, yay, Mashiach, Messiah came, and then the Romans said, we love you. No, they allowed the dead to be buried. And we say actually in the Birkat, Hatov Hamitiv, in the grace after meals, we say this blessing, Hatov Hamitiv, that God does good. And if you see in the English, the corpse does not decompose, and the Romans let them bury them. I want to say one quick thing, and then we'll be done. Of course, it's the same idea that we're grateful for every little thing. But the other thing is, I want to thank the Romans that at least they let the Jews bury their dead and have that moment. And I see all these protests on October 7th, a day of rage, day of rebellion, anti-Israel stuff. Uh, and I say it's so shameful because they're not giving the Jewish people just one day to bury our dead, to mourn for our dead. You want to protest against Israel or whatever the war, whatever your view is, October 6th, October 8th, whatever, but just give us this one day. The Romans did. And from that, maybe that gesture of kindness of the Romans who had murdered so many, were able to move on. But our tradition says we can move on from the hardest things. And so I want to bless us all that on this very, very sad day, we're able to move on. We're able to find light and joy and gratitude and strength together. And God willing, this will be a year of joy from the depths that we've come.